Hello, this is Jamie Novak, and thank you so much for joining me. It's week 2 of how to organize that room, and you know the one that we have been working on. So, just a quick recap. During week 1, of course, what we started with was that concept of working in bite sizes, setting a timer for 18 minutes and staying focused for the project at hand. Trying as hard as we can not to get distracted or reminisce all that long, and picking up a piece, the item, the top one on the pile, and making a decision instead of putting it in another pile. We're not spending 18 minutes sorting because then we'd only have more sorted piles. What we are doing is spending 18 minutes making decisions. At the start of week 1, I asked you to sort of maybe, if you could, in a word or a phrase, sort of describe how you were feeling. And now, assuming, hopefully, that you've had at least one 18-minute block and gotten that under your belt, I just want to start out today by asking, how are you feeling now? And I think it could go one of 3 ways, really. It could be that you feel pretty much the same, that nothing much has changed, you don't see a tremendous amount of progress, but you're just kind of feeling like, okay, things are moving along and you're just going with the process. Or you could feel like, oh my gosh, I've moved some things around. There's a little bit of change. Change can be a little scary. I'm not exactly sure how I'm feeling about this. It's not really the same, but it's not really great, but I'm just trusting in the process and going with it. Perfectly normal. Or, and this is the one that I'm hoping for you, and if you're not there yet, just keep going because you'll get there. The third way would be, oh my gosh, this is great. This timer thing is amazing. It's working exactly like it was described. I'm able to set the timer and see some progress. I'm trying really hard not to get down on myself that I'm not seeing more progress. I'm just letting it be what it is. I'm working for 18 minutes. I'm staying focused. And it's really, I can see my space coming back and a change in my attitude, and it's really working for me. So, that's where I hope we are. If we're not quite there yet, just keep working in 18-minute blocks of time until you get there. And let's now jump into, as you're sorting and going through and picking up the pile and making a decision and making that space, well, what are we going to do with the keepers? Because that's what it comes down to. We're going to come across things that we use and love. Those are the ones that deserve a home. They kind of made the cut. They're the ones that get kept. They get space, they get labeled, they get contained because they're going to be used. The other stuff, which for some of us is, 10%, it might be 50%, or the average, it's 80% of your stuff, you're not using and loving, and we're going to find really good homes for all that other stuff. So we'll talk about that now. And remember I said not to run out and do what many of us do, which is the fun part, the shopping part, where you go and buy bins and containers and things. Because honestly, as you're working, I bet you're going to find things that we can use to organize into, like boxes that may have been in recycling, or containers that things came in that you didn't remember you had. That's the kind of stuff we want to look to put to the side and use, because I bet that a lot of the stuff you're going to keep fits beautifully into the containers that you already own in your very own home. Don't forget to check your kitchen recycling. Chances are there's a lot of things in there. Tubs and containers and strawberry baskets and berry baskets and all sorts of different things. So, we're going to store what you use, and we're going to store it as close as we can to where you use it. One of the most important rules, because if you store it where you use it, then when you're finished, or when you're done for now, even though you plan to come back, it's so easy to put it away that you don't want to just put it down, you do want to put it away. The alternative to this is the storage for the item is inconvenient. It's on another level of your home. You have to move something to get to it. It's too small. It's overcrowded. It doesn't work. The drawer sticks. The handle's broken. Something's not working about it, and so you put the item down because the storage is not convenient, and you plan to put it away later. And we all know how well that works, right? Later never comes, and we end up now with these items that are left out that then need our attention later. And what happens then, as you probably have realized, is once you leave one item out, other items congregate around it immediately. So now it's not even just the one that you left, it's all the other ones that have happened behind it. So it's a bigger mess than it would have been. So we just want to store it where you use it. We also want to look for wasted space. So look up on all your walls. Can we use or make use of the vertical space? Is there shelving units? Is there a floor to ceiling bookcase? Can we install shelves right below the perimeter of the ceiling? Can we use backs of doors? How about under things? A very shallow box, like one that maybe one of these slim televisions come in, can slide perfectly under a couch, depending on if you have one with, raised feet and it doesn't touch the floor all the way around, or under a bookcase or under a bed. Now, not all of us are a fan of storing things under, but I'm just sort of opening your mind, hopefully, to some ideas of ways that you could store things that you might not right away be thinking of, and you may not be making use of the space. So we definitely want to think hooks, backs of doors. Don't be afraid to hang things, even hang them from the ceiling, like a pots and pans rack in the kitchen. And if that's not your style or decor to have stuff out, then that's okay. We can look for other areas where maybe it's multi-function furniture. Take a look at your tables in your life, coffee tables, end tables. Are they simply just tables? In which case there's a tremendous amount of wasted space underneath them. A rolling basket, a trolley, some sort of a container, an ottoman, something could slide under there. Now always measure first. And this is where you might want to keep a running, tally in your wallet, on an index card, where it has the measurement, so that if you are looking for a specific size of something to modify a furniture piece, you'll have the dimensions with you when you're in the store, and you might want to bring a tape measure as well so that you can actually measure it. And so now you'll be able to actually grab the piece when you come across it, instead of wondering, will it fit, bringing it home and it doesn't and you have to return it, or worse yet, you don't return it, or not buying it and then it would have worked. So neither of those solutions are great. Having the measurements with you with a tape measure in the store is ideal. And so as often as we can do that, the better off we are. So really modifying your furniture, slipping something under an end table, looking to swap out. And, it may not be in our budget right now, or, maybe it's in another room, where you may have a chest of drawers that's in the dining room that's sort of not all that useful, that would be more useful in another room, and you can make a swap. So, shop in your own home, and just because it's a dresser doesn't mean that it can't fit in the garage for gardening and tools and things. And, just because it's a sideboard doesn't mean it can't go in the dining room, or the living room, I should say. So, there's so many different ways to kind of just look at it with a fresh eye, and a new way to find storage in places where you wouldn't normally find it or think to look for it. So we're storing just what you keep and what you use and what you love. These are the keepers. So they're going to go into containers, and we don't know right now if that container is exactly right, because there's a chance that you're going to get more or you'll let more go. So you might need a larger or a smaller, but let's just kind of guess. And I would always leave room to grow. You're going to get more of whatever that is, chances are, right, through time. So if you get the exact container that fits just the right amount, well, you know what's going to happen. It's not exactly going to work out for you, because now what you're going to find is, well, you're going to get more, and then that's not going to fit exactly where you need it. So if that's kind of happened, then we want to see what we can do about maybe modifying that and leaving space and room to grow, which we don't often think of. So with that idea of really leaving space to grow, that's useful in everything. Even if when you think about putting away seasonal clothing or holiday decor, always leaving room, because you're going to get more. And you don't want to just kind of take that one last piece that doesn't really fit somewhere and put it in a new category and think you're going to remember you put it there, because chances are you won't. So using super sticky notes to kind of label these containers temporarily. Try your hardest not to get caught up in making them perfect. Maybe you thought you were going to scrapbook some beautiful labels on ribbons, which would be great, and we can do that in our spare time later. Or maybe you want to research and get the perfect label maker and get just the one that's going to be exactly right for this project, so you can label all the bins and containers. Let's not go there. Let's try to just, at this point, make it easy and doable. In seconds, you can take a marker or a pen and a super sticky note, the brand name kind, the other ones fall off, or tape a label to it, something just to get a label on the container. And then we can kind of come back and say, okay, that is this category, and I'm going to run with it. But it can take a week or two of using the containers in a way that you think you're going to use them before you're sure that, yes, this system's up and running and it's working. So we're storing it where we use it, and we're storing like with like. And so, for example, say you were working under the bathroom sink or in the medicine cabinet or the linen closet where you had, extra spa products and your first aid kit and those kinds of products. The idea of, of course, storing it where you use it would be perfect because we're storing it in or near the bathroom. Some of those items are not best kept in moist environments that are dark, so maybe in the bathroom's not the best way, but we're storing it as close to where we use it as possible, and we're grouping like with like. So this would be, instead of one gigantic container with all your first aid supplies, which becomes messy and overstuffed, and when you need one little Band-Aid, you're rummaging through, ice packs and bug spray and all that extra stuff that you don't need to be looking through when you just need a little Band-Aid. So grouping like with like, and you really want to think of how a store would do this because they do it best. The store that sells the item that you're trying to group, think of how they display it. And so obviously in the aisle you've got the Band-Aids with the antiseptic and the Neosporin together. That would be one small container. And another container might be all of one family member's medications or all the cold and flu remedies and then all the allergies somewhere else so that you don't have to look through, cold and cough syrups to find a Benadryl. So that's the idea of kind of grouping like with like and storing it where you use it. And it's just so practical, and you go, oh, well, why wasn't I doing this all along? So you want to look at maybe where things work in your home, and you'll see that that's a big reason why. And the things that aren't working in that room, this is what we want to remedy about them. Now, I just want to revisit that stuck box for just a moment before, of course, we are going to get into the more personal answers and things. But that stuck box, oh my goodness. That was kind of the box in week 1 that I said to you, if you get stuck, that you go, I really just don't even know what this is. I'm going to spend 18 minutes kind of debating about it. It's not memorabilia. It doesn't belong in a treasure box. It's not a sentimental piece that I'm going to take a photo of. I just don't know what it is or if I need to keep it. And so that was your mission, was to just toss that in a question mark stuck box and go, I'll revisit it later. And so now would probably be a great time to just kind of check back. And it's very possible that an item you put in there, it'll be very clear now that it was not a keeper or that it was a keeper. Sometimes just, our brains can kind of get a little overloaded when we're doing this sort of a pare down where you're purging some items and going, okay, I can't even make a decision about one more thing. I don't know, and that's how it ended up in the stuck box. On the other hand, the item might truly be something you're stuck about. You may not know who it belongs to. You may not know if you need to keep it. And so this is where we want to just take an extra moment and research, what is it? And then once we know what it is, do we need to keep it? And so if you're feeling like it's a piece of paper and you don't know, let me know when I've got a retention schedule for you. If you're thinking, I just don't even know, these are the kinds of things that we can kind of go back and forth about and figure out what should happen with the items that are in that stuck box. Now maybe you got really lucky and maybe there's like one item, or possibly, and this would be a record, so let me know if it's you, there's nothing in your stuck box, which would be pretty amazing. So if that's the case, congratulations. And you can just keep, having it there as a safety net. And the last piece to this is, as we're working, now it's kind of in tandem with steps 1 and 2. You're spending 18 minutes making decisions, and now if it's a keeper, it's getting put away. And if it's not a keeper, then we're finding a really good home. And so you just keep wanting to go back to setting that timer and continuing to, restart over and over again until you see that more space is being cleared. So you may be wondering, well, what exactly am I supposed to do with the items that I'm not using and loving, and I really am ready to let go, but I want to let them go to someone who's going to really enjoy them and use them and love them as much as I do. I've got an entire list, and I'm going to put the link right on the class page so you'll see that. It's a full list of exactly where I would suggest putting, different items, different charities, or other options. The one I'll tell you about that is not a charity, but I think is one of the easiest, is FreeCycle. And that's FreeCycle.org. FreeCycle. And on FreeCycle, really what it is just a group of people that got together on the internet, and so you would log on by your county or by your town, depending on how large your FreeCycle group is. And basically, you don't have to write any fancy ads, you don't have to take any award-winning photographs like you would if you were going to sell the item on something like an online auction or eBay. What you're doing is just saying, look, I've got this. And it could be, a bunch of pebbles that came out of the bottom of a vase or a water fountain that you're not going to keep anymore, one of those desktop ones. It could be the entire contents of your house or anything in between. Broken or not, and I'm serious about this point. Broken or not, missing pieces or not, it doesn't matter. You want to be honest and say it, but someone out there wants the item in the condition that you have it. So you're just going to say, I've got a toaster that I don't know if it works, or the last time I made toast was 7 years ago, but I've got this toaster, whatever it is, a pack of stickers left over from a birthday party, size such and such, summer outfits, whatever it is. You list the item, and I would say within minutes, definitely within 24 hours, you're going to have responses from members who say, hey, look at me, I'd love that, and you can really get some personal stories, and you'll hear some reasons why they want the item or how they're going to care for it, and so it's a great way to make that connection. And then it's your comfort level as far as sharing whatever information you'd like to share with them. You don't have to give out anything personal. You can meet them at a library, a cafe. You can drop it off to them. You can let them pick it up if you want to, wherever your comfort level is with that. And we've had great stories. So Free Cycle is just one of the many ways to go. And if you're finding items that you want to evaluate, kind of get appraised, head over to eBay. Just take one. Don't make a box of them that you want to appraise, and then that's going to take more than 18 minutes. At the end of your 18 minutes one time, or spending 18 minutes, just log on to eBay as if you were buying the item that you think you might want to sell, and just see what it sold for. And you kind of really can be a very good gauge, and a very quick one at that. So all right, well, we're coming to the end of our second week together, and so really the homework here is to just continue to keep the motivation up, to stay energized about the whole project, because sometimes around this day we can start to see a little wane, a little tip off in the energy. So it's staying focused, staying motivated, play your favorite song, let me know what you're going to do, whatever it is to keep going. And we're going to wrap up next week with the third week, and that is how to keep your newly organized space. So I can't wait to share those tips with you, and you definitely won't want to miss them. So this has been Jamie Novak, your Bite-Sized Living Specialist, and I am thrilled to have shared week 2 with you. Stick around for week 3, and this is a cheers to your success, because I know you can do this.